First Bank.
Welcome now to Business News. I'm Loretta Chiogo. 611 billion naira has been distributed to the federal, state and local government areas for the month of August by the Federal Account Allocation Committee. Addressing journalists after the committee meeting in Abuja, the Minister of State for Finance, Ambassador Bashir Yuguda, said gross revenue for the month of August stood at 601 billion naira. He said the sum of 35 billion naira has also been allocated for distribution under the Subsidy Reinvestment Program.
648. Now, the amount is to be distributed accordingly to the states, federal and local governments. Also taking into consideration the amount of money we have to pay for Shopee, which is 35 billion. Then also amount to be paid to the domestic excess account, which is about 25 billion naira. So this gives us the statutory allocation after this deduction to 504,705 billion naira. Then after this one, we go into the cost of collection, that is to Federal Inland Revenue Service and to customs. After that one, we have the net statutory allocation of 496,799.
And now in Lagos, the state government is looking to explore nuclear energy as an alternative source of energy for constant electricity supply. Now, at the 4th Corporate Assembly meeting held with the organized private sector at the Lekki Free Trade Zone, Governor Babatunde Fashola insists that businesses can only thrive if government finds ways of tackling power supply.
It's another time for government and business to meet. The Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola arrives at the 4th series of a meeting with the organized private sector at the Lekki Free Trade Zone. This time, he wants to reel out the government's plans and also find ways of tackling the challenges confronting businesses in the state. One of such issues is electric power.
We, as a sub-national government, in the fulfillment of our commitment made at the Ngbeti Summit about energizing Lagos, looking at the possibility of nuclear energy and how quickly that can be deployed in less than 3 years, especially because you need not to do distribution. Places like this can have an injection of nuclear power in anything to 15, 24, 36 months, and it can be delivered safely.
The organized private sector, no doubt, has quite a lot on its mind concerning its operations in the state.
This brings to mind the need for the state government to properly delineate the local councils and area development council, which should discourage double demands for revenue payment by businesses from both LGAs and SCDAs.
International countries have been given an impression that the Ebola is a very threatening and hazardous disease in Nigeria. And for that, many countries have informed their business people not to come to Nigeria.
However, Governor Fashola did not hesitate to offer answers to some of the complaints.
At this moment, we don't have anybody infected with Ebola in that center anymore. What we have left are people who are suspected contacts who we are monitoring over the 21 days life cycle known about the virus.
The meeting over, the organized private sector hopes that all the issues they raise will be given maximum attention. This, they believe, will promote the growth of businesses as well as bring more development to Lagos State.
Unilever Nigeria PLC is confident about the growth of business in the Nigerian market. At a press conference in Lagos attended by the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, the Global Managing Director of Unilever Nigeria PLC, Mr. Paul Pullman, expressed satisfaction with the Nigerian business environment, saying it is one of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world.
The top executive management of Unilever Nigeria PLC. Their mission in the country is to re-echo the fact that their largest business commitment in Africa is in Nigeria. They also want to help the country fight the Ebola virus disease as part of their corporate social responsibility.
6.54% growth makes you one of the fastest growing countries in the world. You are amongst the 10 fastest growing countries. I know Ebola itself might take about 0.5% of the economy, as the minister was sharing, but we should not forget that despite some of the tragedy that has happened here or heroic actions by some people in your country, you have been very fast to curtail this horrible disease, and the investment climate actually continues to be very, very attractive.
The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Professor Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, commends the role of the private sector in growing the economy.
The belief that the Nigerian economy remains resilient and that people are going to invest in this economy. It's not just about today, but they see potential in the long term. As you all know, we just got our second quarter GDP growth figures of 6.54%. So in spite of the challenges we have in the economy, we are growing very well. Mr. President is working really hard to make sure that that growth is not just growth, but translates into jobs. You know, our own private sector has been very active.
Unilever is one of the oldest manufacturing companies in Nigeria, and it promises to grow business to the tune of €1 billion between now and the year 2020, while creating a better future every day.
Honeywell Flour Mills PLC has approved a dividend payout of 1.34 billion naira, representing a distribution of 17 kobo for every 50 kobo ordinary share. At the company's 5th annual general meeting in Lagos, the chairman of the board, Oba Otudeko, also announced the acquisition of over 60 hectares of land by the company within the Flourgate Industrial Scheme along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Chris Ilams reports.
In spite of the economic pressure of 2013, management as well as shareholders of Honeywell Flour Mills PLC are here gathered for updates on the company's performance. The investors search for clues in the annual report as published. Without wasting time, the chairman rises to the occasion, counting the blessings of the year under review.
I want to thank you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen.
With resolutions that put the company in a better state taken and votings concluded, officials expressed their delight.
As Honeywell Flour Mills PLC, our commitment has been to increasingly going downwards in terms of putting more and diversified foods on the table of Nigerians. We are incorporating a lot of items that are grown in Nigeria, which is pursuing the backward integration policy of the federal government and also working with the various states.
A 21% increase in turnover, a 35% increase in gross margin, and an 18% increase in profit after tax. 18% increase in net assets. I believe that Honeywell Flour Mills is well positioned to continuously deliver superior performances to shareholders and superior returns to shareholders.
The shareholders are not left out.
In the few years of their coming to the market, they have been performing well, and especially this year they are giving us a dividend of 17 kobo per share.
2013 is done and dusted. All eyes are now on the next report, and shareholders are hopeful that the steady growth recorded by the company is sustained. Chris Elems, Channels Television News.
The market capitalization dropped today as the all-share index lost 0.30%. That's during trading on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Victor Matthias has details of trading today.
and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Sell pressure returned to the floor of the Nigeria equities market as key indicators failed to sustain gains recorded the previous session. The all-share index lost 0.30% to 40,648.16 with a market capitalization of 13.42 trillion naira. Forte oil, corn oil, and Cadbury topped the Lagarde's list with losses less than 3 naira each. On the other hand, investors favored the stocks of Okomo Oil, Beta Glass, and Champion Breweries as they emerged the session's top gainers. Major contributors to market turnover include Diamond Bank with 293.96 million units of shares, followed by ICO Insurance and Transcorp. When the closing bell rang, volume came in at 519.11 million units, valued at 4.21 billion naira in 4,573 deals. That's it on the Stock Market Report. I'm Victor Matthias.
Thank you, Victor, and that's it on business. It's back to you, Joma, for the rest of the news.
First Bank.
Still ahead on the news at 10, action resumes in the UEFA Champions League with 8 matches played on day 1 of the group phases. That will be on sports. Do join us again.